And welcome to the Talon Outdoor Show. I'm Charlie.
I'm JD.
Captain Paul Tire.
And Dale Bessie.
And I'm Grant.
Yeah, we got different. We had to have somebody sit in for Fred.
You needed another ball-headed guy.
Yeah, it was okay. It was okay once we got the mic and chair adjusted.
Somebody had lowered Fred's chair all the way down to where it was like office chair height.
Man.
And Dale sat down.
I felt like I was sitting at the short table.
Well, you laughed for 3 minutes straight. So, I mean, I was kind of like, I know how to fix it if you get up. I can pull that lever with you in it. It ain't going nowhere.
No, it ain't. Not with my big butt in it. That's for sure.
Oh, man.
We wish him well on his journey wherever he might be.
Well, welcome Dale Bessie back into the studio. For
Thank
those
you,
of you who don't know, he's been in the studio before. Dale is our radio representative that sells us all our airtime. And if you're in the market for radio airtime, streaming, digital, all the stuff that Dale does, he's your guy here in this region. And also is an avid fisherman and Dr. Fish, if you want to. No, he didn't like Dr. He didn't like fix them up and put them back.
No, I don't give him no CPR. That's for sure.
So when you came up with a Dr. Fish persona, was that like Dr. Fish PhD or Dr. Fish MD?
You know, Dr. Fish, I'll make it real quick. And me and a buddy of mine, back years ago, he called me Doc. It's because when I was a single man, I'd come to the bait shack, the Bears Tackle House in Oviedo. And when I go fishing, I'd take whoever I was dating at the time, and they end up calling me Dr. Love. Just teasing me, okay? So Doc stuck. Dr. Love, thank God, went away. And but Doc stuck, so all these years, I know, right? Terrible. And so when I was talking to him,
not to told us that one.
I know, right? When I was talking at the tackle house, at the tackle house of all places. Hey, can I get a dozen worms? And by the way, I
don't believe I told that one, Dale.
Well, you know, it's anything to do with fishing, I'm there. So, I kept the Doc came with me. I was working in TV, had the opportunity to produce a TV show called Around the Bend Outdoor Show, come up with the idea, put it on the air, had it on the air in 90 days, in fact, and teamed up. And my buddy, I was talking to him on the phone.
Hey, did you have it on there for 90 days or in 90 days?
It seemed like 90 days it was on there, but it actually stayed on there for about a year and a half on a local station, and we had fun doing it and everything. But he called me. He said, "Well, you're doing this show as are you gonna have Dr. Fish in it?" I said, "I didn't even think about that." He goes, "I bet you $1 you can't do a segment that said." I said, "Okay, you're on." So it all came from a $1 bet.
Gotcha.
A $1 bet.
You went and bought you some surgical scrubs and a mask, and
I actually went and bought the lab coat and had a fin made for the back of it. Had Dr. Fish put on the front of it, and then next thing you know, I'm doing classes at Bass Pro Shop. I'm teaching kids about boating safety and line and rod and reel identification, fish identification.
Dale's up on top of the tank catching fish.
Hey, man, I'll tell you, I got a picture of me up there. Sincerely, it was a good time. It was a great time. We had fun. And it just kind of went from there. It allowed me to meet a lot of people on the coastline, a lot of charter captains, Captain Paul Tire, McNamara down on St. Mark's, and different captains throughout the area, and Pam Martin Wells, Lady Bassmaster. Got to work with her and several other people in the fishing industry up here, and really just made a lot of friends, had a great time. And that's what we do. We go out and we try to have fun, you know. So the radio show, when I come to you guys and talked about doing it and everything.
Yeah, you're kind of the reason we exist.
Hey, well, I appreciate that compliment, but you took it and ran with it, and you guys have definitely built it into something that has become its own brand. That's for sure.
I think we went to lunch, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we were sitting there and talking about, say, "What do y'all think about having your own radio show?" And we're like, "What?"
Huh?
Yeah.
Well, and then
Who's gonna listen to us?
And then a couple of years later, he comes back and say, "Yeah, I really need y'all to do 2 or 3 hour radio shows." And we're like,
Yeah, how do you think about doing a 2-hour show?
That would cause us to have to work at it. We can sit in here and shoot the breeze for an hour, and
we'd have to pencil. We'd have to actually have an itinerary. And if you're watching us on our YouTube channel, you can look at the photo over here, and you can tell that there's nothing on this desk in front of me and JD except our phones and
phone that's off.
Yeah.
Well, it sure has grown into something really cool and informative. And man, you guys have a big audience following you. I mean, a huge audience.
You keep telling us that, but
You do. I mean, I think Fred even pulled up some numbers on your podcast here not too long ago. It's like 3,500 listeners on your podcast.
I think he said 35,000.
See, that's what I'm saying. You're big.
could
man.
be 350.
Could be 300. It could be 350.
I mean, I don't know how
or
good
3.5 people. You know, there's that guy there listens to half the show.
Yeah.
We can check after the
Yeah,
show.
let's-
Really?
I'll take a look here. Yeah, I
Look
can,
at that.
I can pull the stats.
That would be cool.
I
That'd
know
be
no-
awesome.
Digital. I don't know about terrestrial,
That might make me
but
nervous.
digital.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, y'all can't
terrestrial,
count how many people got it on the radio out on terrestrial, like look in their trucks. And
There's someone somewhere I think can. I just don't have
NSA
that
probably
access.
can.
Yeah.
At Patriot Act, right? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I thought I heard Fred say 35,000, but I know he may be a little short on his math. I don't know.
He's a little
Well,
short
for our
on everything.
advertisers, it's 35,000.
Yeah, for advertising.
Streaming.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I was listening to or looking at there was something on almost the news. Fox they talk about the news on there sometimes.
Yeah.
At least they don't not flat out lie like the other news channels.
That's right.
It's the closest you can get. You know, Fox News Channel, the closest you can get to the truth.
The closest you could get.
With plenty of commentary included. No, so they were talking about Greg Gutfield and what's that crazy Bill Maher. Anyway, they had something and they eclipsed all the other channels during the show that they had, and they were talking about we had 1.9 million people watching it. I'm going, wait a minute, that's not a lot of people. If
Not
you think
really.
about it, you
Out of
know,
300 million.
I think it's
Yeah,
300,
I mean-
350 million legal and what we got now, 15, 20
We
million
don't
illegal.
know. We don't know.
so if you
We got
extrapolate,
no idea.
if you extrapolate how many people that a worldwide network gets,
Yeah.
and versus the population of the world, and then you look at how many people listen to us versus the population of our area, and I think we are way more
Yeah.
dollar for dollar. We're way more popular, so your advertising dollars go a lot further on our show than
That's
it would on
right.
Fox News. I'm just
You
saying.
ain't kidding. And to a great audience.
Well,
too.
yeah, but you also just
I'll
use the
crunch
word.
the number. I'll crunch the numbers on a spreadsheet later, and I'll twist them to fit exactly what I just
You
said.
used extrapolate, and I don't think that the word extrapolate, isn't it? Extrapolate.
Depends
Or is
on
that
where
the
you're from,
Okay,
JD.
so for Mariana, maybe it's
I'm from the slow
extrapolate.
side of the
I
river.
actually, I learned that word listening to this show.
Extrapolate.
Yeah, I did. I was like, wow.
Extrapolate.
if you cipher all them numbers out, it's a good deal.
That's right. Amen to that.
Hey man, what works? You laugh. Some people in the Dothan audience, they talk about fast time and slow time. Over here, JD's always poking. I'm from the slow time. We on fast time. They on slow time. If you in Dothan, you with me. So
Y'all on
you
slow
on
time.
slow time.
You're an hour behind always an hour behind.
Well, somebody sent me a email. I'm talking to the president CEO of Right to Bear and Lana, our national sales manager, and all for the Right to Bear legal insurance, and we're setting to get up a conference call next week. And he says, "How about Tuesday at 2?" And I said, "That's great. What time zone?" And I didn't go to look and see where he was. Well, everybody's in the Eastern time zone but me. So apparently I'm the slow one.
So
in the
you
group.
extrapolated that they was on a different, that your 2 o'clock and their 2 o'clock ain't the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, on Tuesday it's not because I stay on that side of the river.
What would have been
on
real,
Monday it would have been the
What
same.
would have been real funny if everybody had been in the truck, me and you try to do the math on what time I was going to pick you up to go to Pensacola
Oh my
the other morning.
Lord! And we got there like an hour early.
Well, that's, yeah,
All right,
because we extrapolated
we'll be back
improperly.
in a minute. Fast time. And we're back. So the other day, one of them days, we went to Pensacola to an ATF seminar. And, you know, it's funny. So to stay on top of this stuff, you know, they have these seminars, and I don't remember. I've never been to one, but we saw one. So, hey, let's go. Let's see if there's stuff we don't know. We need to learn it. And so it was at whatever time, 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock Central
Central.
in Pensacola.
In Pensacola. Okay, so we had to do, y'all should have been there for that conversation, because I'm on Mariana time, which is the same as Pensacola.
And I was picking you up in Mariana on my way over there.
And you were in Eastern, and so was Matt, and you had to pick up Matt here at the store, right? Mm-hmm. So you had to know what time to leave your house, what time to pick up Matt, had to figure that amount of travel time, which you know well. And then you had to pick up me at one of the exits, and I'm on slow time. And then we had to pick up Frank from the Dothan store at another exit, which we got wrong and went one exit too far. But
and then figure the drive
and
time
then the driving,
from Mariana to Pensacola.
And that was and line all the logistics up, and
that's why I drove. Now,
then we got there early.
We did get because I'm always early. It's rare if I'm on. I was one of them that got hit upside the head. That on time is late and 15 minutes early is on time.
Well, I was 5 minutes early at the gas station to meet you, and I'm never early.
But I still beat you there.
You did beat me there, yeah.
So
I thought I was going to beat you.
That's my point. And you ain't gonna let that happen.
I'm driving it. I'm driving. Hey, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna be sitting there waiting on JD, and he's gonna be so surprised. And I'm about halfway from the house to there, and still got 10, 15 minutes to get there, and I get a text. Hey, I'm at the TA waiting. I'm like, God.
I don't subscribe to leave at whatever time and you just drive faster if you're running late. That ends up costing you money in gas mileage and visitation from the authorities. And you know, I just I leave early and drive the speed limit and get where I'm going early. Like most of the time, sometimes it annoys my family. It does, because I'm the you know, let's go. We gonna be late. Let's go, because. And I attribute that to my upbringing and my first job, who was working for a sergeant that was a Korean War veteran Navy guy.
Wow.
And buddy, let me tell you, if you were not 15 minutes early to work, you were late. And he did not like late.
That's right.
Now, he didn't mind you walking out the door and being done at whatever quitting time was. Mm-hmm. He was fair about that, but it was you gonna donate that 15 minutes every day or suffer the consequences. And I just, you know,
It was at Paramore?
Yeah.
Well, I had Roger Fields and Dusty Miller when I went to sheriff's office, and because now when I was at FSU, I had Dave,
Uncle Dave.
And he
laid back.
He didn't. He was a snake. You'd be somewhere thinking what nobody watching you, and next thing you know, he'd be looking over your shoulder, talking about everything okay here. Golly, where'd you come from? And people were kidding you. He's the snake, man. He'll just snake right up on you. You want to know he's there, but I mean, he had me paranoid the whole time. I said, I'm gonna turn around, but he didn't care. You know, I remember jumping a curb and doing a Dukes of Hazzard one night on the Crown Vic and landed and bent both front fenders up. When you see the General Lee land, it always bends the fenders up, but then they're never bent.
That's right.
Yeah. So
they jump the creek and land and bend the fenders and then they don't even get out to straighten them out, but they're straight. Well, I did that one night or one afternoon chasing an armed robbery suspect, and instead of foot pursuit, I made a vehicle pursuit in a vehicle, because there was 2 or 3 of them that had guns, and I'm like, well, at least I met him up there. Was it the Pensacola and Jefferson convenience store, which is no longer there.
The junior store.
Huh?
The junior store.
The junior store, yeah. And I said, Sarge, I got this right here. And he goes, well, can you straighten it out? And I said, I don't know. And I pulled the fenders out. He goes, looks good to me.
Fixed enough.
Yeah. But no, when I got to the sheriff's office, it was, if you're not early, you're late. And I immediately decided I was just going to be in trouble every day come day because there was no way. I just couldn't. I couldn't pull it off. To this day, I can't pull it off. I mean, I have to put everything 30 minutes before to be able to get there because I'm like that with my family. Hey, we got to go. We got to go. We got to go. Y'all get. And then we're walking out the door, and I'm like, hey, I forgot. Oh, I got to do this. Or I got to do that. Or I got to do this. And they're all sitting in the vehicle, and then we're late.
Something shiny or a squirrel ran across the road.
Well, it's important that I make sure that these things are done because, it's my responsibility to handle these things so that we can, not have to worry about
I've traveled with you, Charlie. You don't have to explain all that. I've traveled extensively with you, so I understand. Which is why I always tell you 30 minutes before I actually need to ready to go because that way I know we on time.
How long have y'all been friends?
It's about 1992.
1992.
However many years that is. If you want
What year were
to
you born?
extrapolate on that.
What year were you born, Grant?
97.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
I went to FSU in late 1990.
Was it 1990? Okay, so
Late
1990.
Yeah. There you go.
And,
Man, that's a lot of years.
Teddy come
as
tooling up there
friends.
on that Ford Bronco. Parked right
Yep.
out in front of the.
I had a
Oh man, I saw a beautiful, beautiful old Bronco, just absolutely fantastic. Look, it had the perfect lift
a
kit,
first
and the
generation?
perfect-
Like a 68, 70
but it
mile.
had all kinds of stuff that was just beautiful. $62,000.
Oh, it's crazy what they go for.
Yeah, man.
If you have one that's not, and $62,000, that might have been a fiberglass one. That might not have been an all metal one.
Yeah,
It's
there's
62.
very likely based on the body and stuff on it.
I had a 77, which was the last year of the first generation, the last little original Bronco. I had a
Man.
77, and that my dad bought in 1979 when it was 2 years old. Bought it from a woman, and then he passed away in 81, and that was my Bronco. And I drove it a long time before I had a driver's license. And then I drove it a little bit after I had a driver's license. And then I had a 91 Bronco, and I really want one of the new ones, but I just can't seem to justify it because it really won't do anything that I need it to do other than go up and down the road. And it's just not the same.
Yeah, they're not very. There's not a lot of utility to them.
They're kind of about as practical as a Jeep Wrangler. They're
exactly.
just not.
That's what I was fixing to say. It's about that practical, and some of them look bigger than others. And I don't know the difference. So I guess there's like a sport.
There's a sport that's basically a little Explorer. It's basically a car with a SUV shell on it, and then the Broncos are a truck frame and a body on frame, and they make a 4-door, which is
I've seen
blasphemous.
some that are just beautiful.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, I look at them and go, man, I'd love to have that. And then I don't.
And then you go at 6'3", you go in there and get in the thing, and I've had a Wrangler, and I enjoyed the Wrangler. It was fun to drive, and that's where it stops. It was fun to drive until you had to drive a long way.
Well, I can't sit comfortably in a F-250 like we have if it has a sunroof in it, because when they put the sunroof in them, it increases the thickness of the ceiling, and that lowers the headroom. Mm-hmm. And although I'm 6'3", I got short legs and a long torso, so I'm sitting like from the waist up, I'm like 6'7", but from the waist down, I'm like 5'10".
Man,
so
the first thing I picture in my mind when you say that is String Bing from Hee Haw. Remember how String Bing on Hee Haw?
Oh yeah, I
man.
remember String Bean.
Yeah, check him out.
What I picture is anytime you back in the old cartoon days, the old Bugs Bunny and whatever cartoons, when they'd Robert E. Lee. Believe it or not, Robert E. Lee was on the cartoons all the time, and he was absolutely known for having little bitty short legs and a long body. So on a horse, he looked huge until he got off the horse, and he got these little short legs. And they used to, anytime you see the old cartoons of Robert E. Lee, that's what you saw: little bitty short legs, big old long body, and it's kind of. I've been getting a bunch of text messages, or what do you call them, Grants, or reels, or memes, or
What platform are you on?
People sending me
Instagram?
stuff on the Instagram.
Oh. Yeah, reels probably.
Yeah, and it's Bugs Bunny is a cavalry guy, and he's fighting the Indians, and they're
I've been seeing those too.
Little Indians.
Native Americans.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
I happen
there
to
you
have
go.
I happen to have friends that are Native American, and they
indigenous
call
people.
themselves Indians. So
Indigenous people.
whatever you want to, and it's and I remember watching those things and those extremely what would be now politically incorrect stuff.
When you used to
It's
play
just-
colonizer and indigenous people.
Well,
That's right. That's back when we used to play
I'll be
that.
politically correct when politically gets correct.
Well,
so it was Bugs Bunny on a thing.
yeah, and it's he's shooting at Indians and counting 1 little, 2 little, 3 little Indians. And, anyway, we used to have so much fun with that kind of
That was
stuff.
on
It was
national
funny.
television.
It was funny.
Yeah.
And it's still kind of funny, and I get it, but people just, I had this conversation with my 14-year-old today and about the drama of middle school girls, and I'm like, quit letting that silly mess bother you. Just stop. It's silly. Why waste time being worried about what so and so said about you? And I don't get why people are so fragile. I mean, you come and call me anything but late for dinner, and it's not gonna affect the rest of my day, much less my life the next day, kind of thing.
And it doesn't stop at what has happened is we've taken the middle school immature mindset, and some people never get past it.
They don't.
There
and
are
that's-
adults that are just so petty and so I see it. I thought, well, I mean, it's in my hometown too, man. I'm telling you, I just see the stuff. It's campaign season, so a lot of stuff's going on. A lot of things being said, and just try to. If you listen to our show, you're probably most likely the adult in the room in most conversations. If you're listening to this,
God, I hope so.
I mean, not intentionally. We'll be right back. And we're back. So I want to give a shout out to the folks up in Dothan that do all our radio stuff up there, because they fed us lunch the other day. Dale, you fed us lunch a lot of times.
And we appreciate every time.
They don't hold a candle to the number of times you've taken us to lunch.
Copycat.
But they brought food into the staff the other day, and
I think that might be a sales ploy.
No.
Well, I don't know. So then the reason I'm bringing is we got to sit there and talk to management, ownership, and all this stuff, and in the conversation I have to ask, so how we doing? As far as we're not getting kicked out of Dothan, are we? Talking about, no, absolutely. We got a letter the other day who was, so, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I said, because when everybody comes out here and wants to feed us, and you bring the whole show, the whole shooting match shows up, then I'm like, oh, this might be letting us down. And I said, we've been real careful with Fred, because we in the Dothan, the old Bible Belt running, we got to be careful, because we do rein him in a little bit. And go, oh, you don't have to do anything. You don't have anything to worry about. So, oh, well, we won't tell Fred that we don't have anything to worry about, because we don't rein him in for the Tallahassee crowd. We rein him in for the Dothan.
Yeah, we do.
Wiregrass region.
Yeah, let's be honest. Yes, we do. We do rein him in for our sake.
Yeah.
Well,
It's borderline house arrest.
He talks about his garden. I saw on Facebook the other day, he's posting pictures in his garden. He actually does, in fact, have a garden. I don't think he went and got that out of somebody else's garden. I think he's got some tubs and their garden stuff or raised bed. I don't know what he's got. Next time he's on the show, we'll ask him.
Well, maybe we
I
sneak
don't
over
think
there.
he needs raised beds, does he?
Maybe we sneak over there with some night vision and see what
That's
he
good,
has in
Dale.
his garden.
That's good, Dale.
I mean,
Yeah, to get a stool, get in there and harvest it.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
easy to
you
be a
don't need
dirt.
raised
It's easy to be a dirt farmer when you're 4'9".
brother, I'm going to tell you something. You're talking about a cotton picker.
So he did.
He'd
He
get
ain't
dangerous.
got to bend over.
Nah, he'd have you a pillow in 5 minutes.
It's all at eye level. I saw him post. We're going to talk about him because he ain't on the show.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
you
posted.
get out on it.
He posted that he said this is apparently had his 31st anniversary
Oh,
a couple of nights
congratulations.
ago. 31 years, and he goes, 31 years with this woman that just hollered at me to fix me a drink. And everybody was saying, happy anniversary, all this stuff. Oh, it's so nice of you to. My comment was, 31 years of you, she needs a drink.
You make it strong.
So see, that's when you know your true friends will show up.
Yeah, man. It's an ounce for every year.
Ain't no doubt.
So,
Ain't no doubt.
But no, I tell you, I think it's great when you guys go bird hunting, man. I mean, these hunts y'all do and everything, but I swear I can't help it. Every time I see the pictures, man, old Fred, you know, he just,
Fred can shoot.
I'm gonna tell you something.
Fred-
That's what
Fred
I
is a-
heard.
I don't know if he can outshoot JD, but he can shoot.
That's an Elmer Fudd lookalike if I ain't ever seen one, and that little orange hat, and his shotgun and everything. I'm like, man, please.
Yeah.
He owns it though.
He
owns
does
He's
own
like,
it,
he's-
and you
he's-
know what? Good for him.
And all of his shotguns, at some point in time, he's brought most of his shotguns over here to get the stock shortened on him. He shoots youth link, but he can shoot, and I will give
I
that.
bet there's
he-
some
well,
nice
he wears
guns,
used clothes too.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, so I bet he's got some nice guns, don't he?
we never miss it. We're at Sodat up there,
Yep.
the Kwanzaa Hut sporting goods store up there, and well, seriously, it's 2 levels.
It's an igloo. Looks
It's
like
an
an
igloo.
igloo.
Yeah, it looks like a big old igloo, which is appropriate up there in the wintertime. But you go in there, and I'm like, yeah. He goes, hey, where'd you get that? I said, I got it right over there, but they don't have it in U sizes.
See what happens when
man.
you're not here.
I'm
Fred?
gonna introduce him to my daughter, who's a seamstress over here at the uniform shop in the building with us, and she can make a living on him and pants for Fred. I'm just saying.
Nana, she charges by the inch now. If it's by the
Well, it
by
ought
the
to be cheap
alteration.
then.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe I'm gonna charge you for every inch I cut off those normal pants to get to
Right.
your size.
I hear you.
See, Fred, you should have showed up.
Yeah,
today. You
yeah, we
could
can
fight
pick at
back,
you.
but you ain't here to fight back. So.
Man, please, he'll be here next week on. Oh boy, do I got something to say?
What's the politically correct term for midget?
Fred,
Little person. Little person.
Well, Fred almost made the cut. All right, we'll be right back. And we're back. So,
Y'all went fishing this morning before the show?
yeah, man, you can't smell us. Good Lord,
No,
yeah, we're on the break, and Dale is.
I'm all kind of
Paul, do you
stuffed
smell
up.
like brim?
I smell like bluegill. And
Or
I
bluegill.
had the privilege. I got to tell you, it was a privilege to take Captain Paul Tyre out on my boat and put a 3-weight fly rod in the sandwich. Most people wouldn't start fly fishing with a 3-weight because it weighs about 2 ounces. Yeah. But Paul took it and took charge of it, and we started making some casts. wasn't doing so good. We moved over to some buggy whip area, and Paul made a cast, and man, the water blew up. And he's just learning. He's just getting started. A mistake everybody makes. That's right. He went to catch it he went to catch it too fast, and when I seen him miss it, I was wham! I was in
Right
there,
in there
and man, it slammed me, and I set the hook.
Yeah.
My rod bent double, and Paul's like, "You got my fish."
You know, that's kind of funny because in my family, and Paul, you heard me say this when we was fishing with my daughter. That's called, you know what that is called in my family? Dale Bessie. That is called Bessie in my hole.
Yep, that's what he said.
That is called Bessie in my spot because I had a great aunt named Aunt Bessie.
Yeah, bless her.
And she fished with Aunt Bessie would fish with my grandma and my granddaddy, and they'd all, And if you caught a fish in a certain spot when you sitting there brim fishing and you throwed your cork over there and you caught a fish out of there,
Yeah.
by the time that fish got to the boat, Aunt Bessie was right there in your spot.
Yeah,
That's
boy.
kind of like Dale. That's
So
That's-
that
that's
is
just-
so we have we have coined a new phrase that goes beyond my family now, and it's called Bessie in your spot.
Bessie in your spot.
He Bessied your spot.
He sure,
Yeah, you
he sure
daggum
did.
I
And
did a
caught
few
the fish
times.
too.
Yeah, when you miss them right in front of me, then I got to get in there.
Well, you would have seen Dale. He could put that fly anywhere he wanted to. It was just I was learning how to do it. I had to. When I missed that one, the line went wrapped around my head.
I look back.
I got the line everywhere. I'm like,
It looked like he had a
and he
turban
flew over
on.
there and caught it. But that was fun though. I've never fly ever till today, and that's fun.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
really is.
It's
That's
top,
fun.
It's top water fishing at its best.
Yeah, I mean it's very finessey for
Yeah.
sure. But boy, I tell you
Yeah,
what,
there ain't no muscling going on and all that.
that was fun. It was
No, he learned the difference between a 5 weight, 8 foot 5 weight, and a 9 foot 3 weight. And I put that 8 foot 5 weight in his hand after he used that 3 weight for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And he was like, "Well, no wonder you can cast so good."
Yeah, why didn't you start me with this?
Yeah.
that
But we had a great time. Paul caught fish on the fly rod first time ever.
Yep,
so.
first time doing it.
And not only that, but caught it on a popper that I made. So
Yeah, we tied that
I was
on.
having a super proud moment this morning.
Yeah, that was cool. That yellow one with the yellow head. First time I threw it out there, one hit it.
It's good times. You
It
know,
was
anytime.
fun. That was
and
fun.
for me, fly fishing's just a relaxed thing for me.
Yeah.
I don't get no hurry. I don't get.
Yeah, Dale be fishing along, and a fish would jump over there, and he just laugh and giggle. I was like, yeah, that's what fishing's all about right there, buddy. That's recognizing. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I used to fly fish a lot, and don't ask me what it was when you start talking about weights and rods and this, that, and the other. Mine was one of them kits you bought at Walmart,
Yeah, man.
whatever they are.
Yeah.
And that's what I still have, and I still fly fish with it, and occasionally. And man, Lake Talquin used to be at night when you had a mayfly hatch.
Yeah.
And you would fish with a little popping bug that had glow-in-the-dark paint on it. You'd
Yeah.
hold your flashlight on that thing a little bit, or stick it in front of a light and make it glow and throw it up under there.
Yep, I got about 20 of them in my box right now. And Paul talked to a friend of his earlier on the phone
Yep.
and was telling him that, hey, Lake Talquin, the glow bugs at night.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah, this time of year through the whole summer is good, and you don't
Didn't see any
catch
mayflies today at
Yeah.
all down there.
you don't catch any little fish. You rarely catch a small, a fry hard, as they would be called in my family. You catch mostly what you're catching is big old bluegills, big old river brim.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun, and I'm glad y'all got to go.
Yeah, it was fun. That was fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. Paul can get excited. When,
Oh,
and,
Paul likes to catch fish.
Man, he does, boy. And it almost scared me. I was like, "You okay?" Yeah, he back there hollering, carrying on. I was like, "Holy cow, man! This guy."
Yeah, he kind of sometimes makes old Red Holland look tame. You know?
man,
You ever-
ain't that the truth?
Well,
Yeah.
I love watching people catch fish. I don't have to catch them. It was just fun watching people catch them.
And that's just it. If you're really into it and you enjoy watching other people catch fish, whether they're, better than you or worse than you or whatever. In this case, you learn how to throw a fly rod and you caught fish.
Yeah,
So
that was fun. That was
You
fun.
really can't get no better than that.
have you gotten a chance to fish with your new brim pole?
No, I found the shellcracker bed up on Lake Seminole. It was on a sandbar. And I was like, no, I'm saving that for when I find them in the grass. So that I want to get them right where I got to get them out of that grass. So
Yeah.
I'll find one this weekend.
Well, I was supposed to go fishing with you on Wednesday, but then I remembered that I couldn't because we had to go sit through a 3-hour ATF seminar and all that fun stuff. And we didn't have to go, I don't guess, but we did.
It was.
And it seems like there's a whole lot of gun dealers that were there that have the same frustrations that we have, and that
There was one fellow that certainly had some frustrations because
he just been through the same
large gun dealer.
very large gun dealer that got audited 3 days after being on Tucker Carlson's show.
Oh wow!
See, that's that's bull crap.
And if you don't believe in coincidences, like some of us don't really believe in coincidences, he got audited exactly 3 days after appearing on a national television show. Complaining about a certain agency and it's just kind of
Yeah, that's.
strange things happen, right?
He's still in business.
He's still in business.
So there's
But the
bright side of it.
harassment's the problem,
Well,
don't you think?
I don't know. I don't know. We just it's okay. So somebody's got to be in charge of making sure people don't get guns that ain't supposed to have guns.
Right.
But
right.
there are
We're all
state
for that.
laws, federal laws, and all that stuff that
And county laws
that
and
county
city laws.
There's all
and-
kinds of stuff that it can be enforced at a lot of levels. And so you've got ATFs. They have basically two divisions. JD will correct me where I go wrong here. They have a sworn law enforcement division, which gets a lot of press when they go, pushing
Enforce
somebody's
criminal
door to do
statutes.
something. And there's some good folks that work there.
Yeah,
I mean, we
friends
see
with a
them, we
bunch of
know them. Absolutely.
Friends with them. Think the
And
world
they're-
of them.
and they have all the best intentions, and 98%
And they're out there
of what they do good stuff.
And they're
I mean,
putting bad guys in jail.
Right.
and
They
we're
go
all
get
for
the
it.
people that need to be got. And then they have the compliance side, and that is just the red tape enforcement. Come in here, look at our records, make sure everything's done right. And there's no allowance for when we enforce the law as law enforcement officers. There's no room for judgment or compassion or for
discretion of any kind.
or they had the correct intent here, but these are clerical errors. I mean, it's tough. It's tough. And the thing is they're going after people who are intentionally allowing straw purchases, who are not doing background checks, who are doing things that they shouldn't be doing. Right. They're the target. That's who they're going after. But when you've got a country run by who's running it right now, you have to second guess everything that happens. And they may have the best intentions, but you sure look at it like, I don't know. And there was a leak out of it's kind of, I saw it the other day, out of Mexico, and all the guns that are getting into Mexico. And they leaked the Mexican ATF wouldn't leak it, but the Mexican authorities leaked this information, and it showed the individuals. They use American trace data where they come to us and they go, hey, this distributor said they sent you this gun. We need to see that trace, and we have to provide that. So they use the trace data. They give it to the Mexican authorities, and so then the Mexican authorities leaked it. And so in Texas, there are a number of individuals that were real big into this. Most of them have been prosecuted, and they were doing straw purchases regularly. So the biggest gun stores, most of the guns that were used in Mexico by the cartels to commit crimes and killings came from Academy Sports, of all places, which is why you get to hold the manager's hand all the way to the parking lot when you buy a gun at Academy. And there was big stores like that, and it was. And then I forget the name. There was one rifle manufacturer that was most of the AR-15s that went down there. The second most commonly used gun by Mexican cartels are Colt, or a 1911 model, 1911, some variant of it down there. And it's pretty revealing. We'll be right back. And we're back. So when we left, we were talking about these gun shops with the most Mexican traces. This is where guns were bought and ended up in Mexico. And I don't know what period of time this is. It was so Academy Sports, there were 727 guns. Cabela's 215, and then there were 3 smaller stores: 75, 46, 39. There were like 2,000 guns where ATF agents went in and posed as straw purchasers, set themselves up as straw purchasers, and bought guns, and then, investigated. I don't know what they did once they did that, but then that Fast and Furious stuff, that was a large number of guns that are still showing up now that were sent down there to be traced, and then they lost track of them.
Yeah,
which
that was during the Obama administration that they did that. The Fast and Furious was,
and so now there's they're going after, they're suing the different companies. I don't know. I mean, so there's a legitimate need. There certainly is a legitimate need to enforce the laws to keep guns out of the wrong hands. But now you've even got court cases that are pushing, where there is one federal court that said, I forget which district it is, said that it's unconstitutional to prohibit nonviolent
felons,
nonviolent
felons, and we've had a court ruling that says that illegal aliens can buy a gun or possess a gun, not necessarily buy a gun, but possess them in the United States.
So and I kind of agree with the felon thing, because here's the deal. And they go back and they say our founding fathers, when they wrote the Second Amendment, there are a lot of laws that are on the books now that weren't on the books then, and there were laws that wouldn't even be. There are laws on the books that make things felonies now that wasn't even a crime back then. So that's
Making
not what
your
they
own
had
whiskey.
in mind. Yeah, and so it's if we're gonna, you have to kind of look at it, because here's the thing: is there, you can change the law. We had this conversation the other day. The government could some random state can say, hey, we're going to make this a felony, and all of a sudden what wasn't a felony is, and now you can lose your gun rights and a lot of your rights because you're a convicted felon, when it was a check offense. So you were 21 years old and you wrote a bad check and it bumped up, it was grand theft. Well, when the Second Amendment was written, that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think they had checks back then. I'm sure they had promissory notes or something, but but you go to now and it doesn't ring right that you should lose a constitutional right. You can't have the right to protect your family using a firearm because somebody somewhere along the line decided something, and you say, well, we got to do something to keep bad guys from having guns. Well, yeah. If you look at what the court said, was if it was an offense where you could lose your estate due to seizure, or you get life in prison or death, lose your life, then yeah, offense, they could keep you from having your rights at that point in time. And so that changes things. And if that goes through, then there's going to be a huge.
The perfect example of a felony is possessing more than 20 grams of marijuana now without a prescription, but 20 grams of marijuana back when you and I both started in law enforcement was a felony. 21 if you had 21 grams of marijuana, you're a felon automatically. Mm-hmm. That's a felony charge. Right. And that, let's say you got convicted of possessing more than 20 grams of marijuana. And we talk about marijuana and how we feel about it on here, but not all for it. But it's one of those things that in most states now ain't even a crime, but you have legacy people that were arrested in 1985 that have a felony conviction that can't go buy a gun because of it. So, that's kind of what we're talking about. And
then you get arrested for having a firearm because you were a felon, and now you've got another felony and a major felony. You're going to go to prison. Yeah. And the thing is the felony was such a pittance of a thing. It's just, I don't know, man. It's not.
It's all classification, and one of the issues that you and I both have had with the way the ATF, and not just them, but with the way regulatory federal agencies do business. It's not just the ATF, it's the EPA, it's the whatever. They have operated for a long time making up their own rules. Without going through Congress, without it being a law, they make an administrative ruling that says, as of whatever date next week, this is no longer legal. It's against the law, and you can lose your license. You can use your ability to do business.
And they don't let people know. They don't put it out there where you know.
They don't do a great job of putting it out. They do put it out, but it's kind of a lot of times done really quietly or confusingly.
It's difficult to interpret a lot of this stuff because they're interpreting something and they change their interpretation and then they leave it out to us to interpret. We were in a meeting the other day, and what were we talking about that nobody can answer?
The thing that I brought up?
No, it was some, maybe it was a 3-day wait or something where we were asking questions.
What's a 3-day wait?
And the ATF couldn't answer the question. And it was even with FDLE there, it was, well, it's up. Let me try to get an Attorney General interpretation, which there is one from Bob Butterworth from
1979.
No, it was 90. It was
86 maybe.
It was. I think it was. That was around it. I think it was 96. But so it's even and it's not FDLE's job to interpret it. It's the legislature and the Attorney General and all that, and we go back and we read this thing, and but you can't. Everybody kind of looks at each other, and when you ask a question and you don't really get a straight answer, and it's like, well, we can't give you legal advice. Well, where do we get that from? We'll talk to your general counsel. Well, Bubba's gun shop, he's running on the street corner. He doesn't have general counsel.
That's right.
He's trying to. He's looking at he wants to read what this says. And a lot of that information is very accurate and very correct. I mean, the vast majority of it is, but you get down to key issues and getting the straight answers sometimes difficult. And then you get different answers from different people in different regions because somebody, it's a bureaucracy. It's kind of like trying to do anything else with government, bless their heart. I mean, and
it's like we brought up in the thing with it's kind of a rare set of circumstances. There's basically 2 days a week you can buy a gun that a 3-day wait is actually a 3-day wait. So if I said, Paul, what is 3 days to you? You're going to say, well, that's easy. That's 72 hours, right? 72 hours, 3 days, 3 24-hour periods, whatever you want to call it. That's kind of like the layman's was 3 days. But that's not what they're saying, because on a 3-day wait on a gun, it's a 3-day wait, not including the day you buy it.
Well, that's not what Attorney General said.
Right. But that's the interpretation we've been, so it doesn't include that day. But yes, it does. We still don't know. The Attorney General says it's 72 hours, not including weekends, not including weekend and holidays.
So, per the Attorney General of the state of Florida, now we don't have one from a recent one, but the one from around 96 says that if you buy a gun on Monday at noon, there's Tuesday at noon, Wednesday at noon, Thursday at noon, you can pick your gun up Thursday at noon. Okay. 3 24-hour periods. Now, you buy it at noon on, and it even says in there that uses this as an example. If you purchase the firearm at 4 o'clock on Friday, okay, Saturday and Sunday don't count, so it becomes 4 o'clock. Well,
and this weekend is Memorial Weekend, so Monday don't count because it's a holiday.
Here. But normally on a 2-day weekend, it says 4 o'clock on Friday. Then you go to 4 o'clock on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You could pick it up 4 o'clock on Wednesday. That's 3 24-hour periods. That's 72 hours. That's what the AG opinion says. We go by the rule of thumb, which is 3 days, not counting the day you pick it up date. And that's the way we've done it because we're safe that way, because we can't get an opinion from the ATF on what a 3-day wait is. They say, well, that's up to the state. Well, we now have an AG opinion that's been around forever, but if you go ask them, they're going to tell you,
And then you have this is a state law that the ATF compliance people are tasked with enforcing on us as the dealers. So if they come in and look at our paperwork and when the background check was run and when the money was accepted on our point of sale or whatever else, they're doing their interpretation of what 3 days is.
Well, that needs to be clear.
Well, absolutely.
One would think, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, Paul, that is exactly right.
You're from the world that a fish has to be this long and you can have this many, and it's pretty doggone clear.
Yeah,
not in our world.
That's crazy.
A 12-inch long bass you can throw in the live well, but 11-inch long bass you got to throw back in the water. I mean, that's exactly right.
If you look at the margins that we make for selling guns and profit margin on guns is one of the lowest retail items you're ever gonna deal with. And to stay in this business, doing what we do, earning such minuscule margins, trying to compete with box stores where they deal with such large volumes, sometimes we just we're in it because it's cool, not because we're making a lot of money. It's fun stuff.
See y'all next week.